Bola Ahmed Tinubu, born March 29, 1952, is a Nigerian accountant and politician who served as the governor of Lagos State from 1999 to 2007 and senator for Lagos West during the brief Third Republic. In June 2022, he was chosen as the All Progressives Congress nominee in the 2023 Nigerian presidential election. Tinubu spent his early life in southwestern Nigeria and later moved to United States where he studied accounting at Chicago State University. He returned to Nigeria in the early 1980s and was employed by Mobile Nigeria as an accountant, before entering politics as a Lagos West senatorial candidate in 1992 under the banner of the Social Democratic Party. After dictator Sani Abacha dissolved the Senate in 1993, Tinubu became an activist campaigning for the return of democracy as a part of the National Democratic Coalition movement. Although he was forced into exile in 1994, Tinubu returned after Abacha's 1998 death triggered the beginning of the transition to the Fourth Republic. In the first post-transition Lagos State gubernatorial election, Tinubu won by a wide margin as a member of the Alliance for Democracy over the People's Democratic Party's Depo Soromi and the All People's Party's Nasiruddin Kakerika. 4 years later, he won re-election to a second term over the PDP's Fanshawe Williams by a reduced margin. Tinubu's 2 terms were marked by attempts at modernizing the city of Lagos and his feuds with the PDP-controlled federal government. After leaving office in 2007, he since played a key role in the formation of the All Progressives Congress in 2013. Long and controversial, Tinubu's career has been plagued by accusations of corruption and questions about the veracity of his personal history. According to affidavits, Tinubu was born on March 29, 1952. His mother Abibatu Mogaji was a trader that later became the Ayoloja of Lagos State. He attended St. John's Primary School, Araloya, Lagos and Children's Home School in Ibadan. Tinubu then went to the United States in 1975, where he studied first at Richard J. Daley College in Chicago and then at Chicago State University. He graduated in 1979 with a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. Disputes over his age, educational qualifications, and name emerged throughout his political career due to conflicting documents and statements from Tinubu himself. While there are unsubstantiated rumors that Tinubu was born with a different name to a different family in modern-day Osun State, the main controversy was sparked by discrepancies in certificates Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Documents submitted ahead of running for governor in 1999 falsely stated that Tinubu attended Government College, Ibadan for secondary school and Chicago State University records had his birth year as 1954, not 1952. In response, Tinubu claimed Tokunbo Afikuyomi, who was then a senator, accidentally falsified the 1999 submission and the university had simply made an error. The controversy was reignited in 2022 when documentation submitted by Tinubu to INEC for the presidential election was released, revealing that he did not state the primary or secondary school he attended in contradiction with previous sworn forms and public statements. Tinubu worked for the American companies Arthur Andersen, Deloitte, Haskins, Ansels, and GT Services Corporation. After returning to Nigeria in 1983, Tinubu joined Mobile Oil Nigeria, and later became an executive of the company. During his time in the United States, Tinubu was noted for his suspiciously high income before being investigated by federal authorities. Eventually his assets were frozen in 1993 as a result of a court case asserting that the American government had probable cause to believe Tinubu's American bank accounts held the proceeds of heroin dealing. He would settle with the government and forfeit about $460,000 later that year. Court documents and later reporting on the case revealed that Tinubu had served as a bagman for 2 Chicago heroin dealers in the early 1990s. His political career began in 1992 when he joined the Social Democratic Party, where he was a member of the People's Front faction led by Shehu Musa Yar'Adua and made up of other politicians such as Umaru Yar'Adua, Atiku Abubakar, Babagana Kingibe, Rabiu Kwankwaso, Abdullahi Aliyu Sumela, Magaji Abdullahi, Depo Soromi and Yomi Edu. He was elected to the Senate, representing the Lagos West constituency in the short-lived Nigerian Third Republic. After the results of the June 12, 1993 presidential elections were annulled, Tinubu became a founding member of the Pro-Democracy National Democratic Coalition, a group which mobilized support for the restoration of democracy and recognition of Moshood Abiola as winner of the June 12 election. Following the seizure of power as military head of state of General Sani Abacha, he went into exile in 1994 and returned to the country in 1998 after the death of the military dictator, which ushered in the transition to the Fourth Nigerian Republic. In the run-up to the 1999 elections, Bola Tinubu was a protege of Alliance for Democracy, AD, leaders Abraham Adesanya and Ayo Odebanjo. He went on to win the AD primaries for the Lagos state governorship elections in defeating Funsho Williams and Wahab Dosunmu, a former Minister of Works and Housing. In January 1999, he stood for the position of Governor of Lagos State on the AD ticket and was elected governor. After he assumed office in May 1999, Tinubu provided multiple housing units in Lagos for the poor. During the 8-year period of being in office, he made large investments in education in the state and also reduced the number of schools in the state by returning many schools to the already settled former owners. He also initiated new road construction, required to meet the needs of the fast-growing population of the state. Tinubu, alongside a new deputy governor, Femi Pedro, won re-election into office as governor in April 2003. All other states in the southwest fell to the People's Democratic Party in those elections. He was involved in a struggle with the Olusegun Obasanjo-controlled federal government over whether Lagos State had the right to create new local council development areas, LCDAs, to meet the needs of its large population. The controversy led to the federal government seizing funds meant for local councils in the state. Citation needed. During the latter part of his term in office, he was engaged in continuous clashes with PDP powers such as Adesai Ogonlo, a former Lagos state senator who had become Minister of Works, and Bode George, the Southwest chairman of the PDP. Relations between Tinubu and Deputy Governor Femi Pedro became increasingly tense after Pedro declared his intention to run for the gubernatorial elections. Pedro competed to become the AC candidate for governor in the 2007 elections, but withdrew his name on the eve of the party nomination. He defected to the Labour Party while still keeping his position as deputy governor. Tinubu's tenure as Lagos State Governor ended on May 29, 2007, when his successor Babatunde Fashola of the Action Congress took office. Illegal operation of foreign accounts. In April 2007, after the general elections, but before the governor-elect Babatunde Fashola had taken office, the federal government brought Tinubu before the Code of Conduct Bureau for trial over the alleged illegal operation of 16 separate foreign accounts. Appropriation of Lagos funds in buying shares in Econet. In January 2009, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission cleared Tinubu and Governors James Ibori of Delta State and Abong Victor Atta of Akwa Ibom State of charges of conspiracy, money laundering, abuse of office and official corruption in relation to a sale of Vimoba Network shares in 2004. In March 2009, there were reports that a plot had been identified to kill Tinubu. The Alliance for Democracy called on the Inspector General of Police, Michael Kiro, to conduct a thorough investigation. In September 2009, however, there were reports that the British Metropolitan Police were investigating a transaction in which the Lagos state government made an investment in Econet, now Airtel. Tinubu said the transaction was straightforward and profitable to the state, with no intermediaries involved. The federal government rejected a request by Britain to release evidence needed for further investigation and prosecution of the 3 Nigerian ex-governors in a London court. Political godfatherism and hooliganism in Lagos State. Tinubu has been widely perceived as the godfather of Lagos. His role in pulling the strings of the mega-city state was exposed in The Lion of Baudelaire, a 2015 documentary film highlighting Tinubu's political and financial grip on the city-state. Tinubu filed a 150 billion Nigerian naira libel suit against the producers, AIT, and the documentary stopped airing on March 6, 2015. Nonetheless, antecedents such as his overbearingness on successors, such as in December 2009, when there were reports that Fashola and Tinubu had fallen out over the issue of Fashola's re-election in 2011, with Tinubu preferring the Commissioner for Environment, Muiz Banaya. And a similar scuffle in 2015, over Fashola's successor pitting Tinubu against him, who threw his full weight behind Akinwumi and Bold, who later succeeded Fashola and was himself ousted from office by Tinubu, replacing him with incumbent Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Use of bullion vans to influence elections in Lagos State. During the 2019 election, a bullion van was seen entering Tinubu's residence on Bodilian Road in Ikoyi, with Tinubu claiming, "I keep money anywhere I want." In 2006, Tinubu worked on convincing the erstwhile Vice President of Nigeria Atiku Abubakar to become the flag bearer of his party, the Action Congress. Atiku, who was a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, then had fallen out with his principal at that time Olusegun Obasanjo over his ambition to succeed the former as president. Tinubu offered Atiku the chance to cross carpet to his party, offering him the slot of his party's presidential candidacy with the condition that he, Tinubu, must be Atiku's running mate. Atiku declined the proposition and instead chose a running mate from the southeast in the person of Ben Obi. And although Atiku still went ahead to contest the election on Tinubu's platform in the forthcoming elections, the PDP still won in a landslide with Tinubu backing up the wrong tree. In 2009, following the landslide victory of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the April 2007 elections, Tinubu became involved in negotiations to bring together the fragmented opposition parties into a mega-party capable of challenging the then-ruling PDP. In February 2013, Tinubu was among several politicians who created a mega-opposition party with the merger of Nigeria's three biggest opposition parties, the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, the All Nigeria People's Party, ANPP, a faction of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, and the new PDP, NPDP, a faction of the then-ruling People's Democratic Party, into the All Progressives Congress, APC. In 2014, Tinubu supported former military head of state General Muhammadu Buhari, leader of the CPC faction of the APC, who commanded widespread following in northern Nigeria, and had previously contested in the 2003, 2007, and 2011 presidential elections as the CPC presidential candidate. Tinubu initially wanted to become Buhari's vice presidential candidate but later conceded for Yemi Osinbajo, his ally and former Commissioner of Justice. In 2015, Buhari rode the APC to victory, ending the 16-year rule of the PDP, and marking the first time in the history of Nigeria that an incumbent president lost to an opposition candidate. Tinubu has gone on to play an important role in the Buhari administration, supporting government policies and holding on to the internal party reins, in lieu of his long-held rumored presidential aspiration. In 2019, he supported Buhari's re-election campaign, defeating the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar. In 2020, following an internal party crisis which led to the removal of Tinubu ally and party chairman Adams Oshiomhole, it is believed the move was to scuttle Tinubu's presidential prospects ahead of 2023. On January 10, 2022, Tinubu announced his intention to run for the president of Nigeria to President Buhari. This was the formal form of announcement from him. On June 8, 2022, Tinubu won the presidential primary of the ruling All Progressive Congress, scoring 1,271 to defeat Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and Rotimi Amici, who scored 235 and 316 respectively. Tinubu is a Muslim. He is married to Oyurimi Tinubu, the current senator of the Lagos Central Senatorial District. Tinubu's mother Abibatu Mogaji died on June 15, 2013, at the age of 96. On October 31, 2017, his son Jide Tinubu had a heart attack while in London and was later confirmed dead. Tinubu holds both the chieftaincies of the Asiwaju of Lagos and the Jagaban of Bogo Kingdom in Niger State, Nigeria. Bola Tinubu, widely credited with reshaping Nigeria's commercial hub Lagos, will lead the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, into February's presidential election, but he faces a reinvigorated opposition, allegations of corruption, and health issues as he has one of Africa's most daunting jobs. Once forced into exile by military ruler Sani Abacha, Mr. Tinubu knows the value of freedom and wears it as an insignia on his signature hat, a broken shackle that looks like a horizontal figure of eight. A trained accountant, it was the activities of the Pro-Democracy National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, group, where he was a member, that brought him into Abacha's crosshairs. The opposition of groups like NADECO and Abacha's death in 1998 ushered in Nigeria's democracy in 1999, and in many ways, Mr. Tinubu, a former mobile oil executive, feels entitled to Nigeria's presidency. He will be banking on his experience in politics and huge influence across the country to win the election, where he will face stiff competition from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is standing for the main opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, and a burgeoning campaign by the Labour Party's Peter Obi, who is hugely popular with urban voters. If Mr. Tinubu, known as a Jagaban by supporters, gets the top job, he would be looking to unify a country divided across regional lines, tackle widespread insecurity, create jobs, and bring down rising inflation. But it is not a job that faces him. He has pointed to his time as Lagos State Governor between 1999 and 2007 to sell his candidacy to Nigerians. Under his tenure, Lagos massively grew its income through huge foreign investment, while a public transport scheme that saw new lanes created for rapid buses eased the notorious traffic jams faced daily by commuters. But the city of around 25 million people has not lived up to its reputation as a megacity despite his claims of turning it around. Public infrastructure is largely in a state of disrepair, basic amenities such as water and public housing are decrepit, while a light rail project started during his reign has not been completed almost 20 years later despite the riches of the state. He has also been accused of keeping a grip on state finances despite leaving office in 2007. Every governor that has succeeded him has been a protege following a grand roadmap, while one that dared to find his own path was quickly brought to heel, aided by powerful transport union members. There are also allegations of corruption against Mr. Tinubu, which he denies. 2 years ago, Depo Apara, an accountant at Alpha Beta, a firm where Mr. Tinubu purportedly holds stakes through a crony, accused him of using the firm for money laundering, fraud, tax evasion and other corrupt practices. Mr. Tinubu was sued despite him and Alpha Beta denying the allegations, but all parties decided to settle out of court last June. Such allegations, including twice facing Nigeria's Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT, on allegations of breaching the Code of Public Officers, where he was cleared, make opponents say Mr. Tinubu is not the right man for the job in a country where corruption is high. In the last election, a brazen display of an armored van used by banks to move money driving into his palatial compound in the Ikoyi area of Lagos fueled suspicions that he was involved in vote buying, which he made no great effort to deny. "If I have money, if I like, I give it to the people free of charge, as long as it's not to buy votes," he said. He is one of Nigeria's richest politicians, but there are questions about his wealth. In December, he told the BBC that he inherited some real estate which he then invested, but in the past he also said he became an instant millionaire while working as an auditor at Deloitte and Touche. He said he had saved $1.8 million, £1.5 million, from his wages and other allowances, nearly the same amount found in accounts linked to him in a 1993 dispute with the US authorities. In documents that are publicly available, the U.S. Department of Justice alleged that from early 1988, accounts opened in the name of Bola Tinubu held the proceeds of sales of white heroin. Kevin Moss, the special agent that investigated the operation, alleged that Mr. Tinubu worked for their prime suspect at the Goboyega account. While the court confirmed it had cause to believe the money in the bank accounts were the proceeds of drug trafficking, Mr. Tinubu and the others denied the allegations, and the court never made a final order about the money's origins. Instead, Mr. Tinubu, who was not personally charged over the money, reached a compromise settlement with authorities and forfeited $460,000. Mr. Tinubu also faces questions about his health, once posting an 8-second video of him riding an exercise bike as proof of life. Opponents say his age is catching up with him and point to videos of various gaffes at campaign rallies where it can be hard to understand what he's saying. Many Nigerians are wary of another president with health issues after President Umaru Yar'Adua died in office in 2010 and a current president who has spent considerable time getting medical treatment abroad. But his supporters say he has the stamina for the job and is not competing for a spot at the Olympics. There has also been some controversy about his choice of a running mate. Mr. Tinubu, a southern Muslim, picked former Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima, a northern Muslim, as his vice. This move was seen as appeasing Nigeria's Muslim-majority north, which has the largest voting bloc in the country. However, it drew the ire of many Christians who say it went against the tradition of mixed-faith tickets for the presidency. He defended his choice, saying he went for competence over primordial interest. He is seen as the political godfather of the Southwest region and its most influential figure, who decides how power is distributed among his many acolytes. In 2015, he describes himself as a talent hunter that puts talent into office. His immense political influence led to the merger of opposition parties in 2013 and eventually wrestled power from the then-ruling PDP in 2015, a rarity in Nigeria where incumbents are not often defeated. During his party primary, when it looked as though Mr. Tinubu's aspirations were flagging, he reminded Nigerians that he was largely responsible for installing President Muhammadu Buhari after the former military ruler had failed on several occasions to win the presidency. Mr. Buhari's associates have since tried to downplay the former governor's influence in the 2015 election, but it is unlikely that the current president would have emerged twice without the backing of Mr. Tinubu. That is why his supporters saw it as a betrayal when Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who worked with Mr. Tinubu as a commissioner in Lagos, ran against his former boss for the APC ticket. If he wins February's election, which is likely to be tightly contested, he will have to tackle many issues left behind by Mr. Buhari: widespread insecurity, high unemployment, rising inflation, and a country divided along ethnic lines. It is not an impossible job, but the task ahead is daunting.